part 9 of 12 in the ASUN preseason breakdown here on Accurate Sports, or Accurate Basketball, excuse me. Accurate Sports, Accurate Basketball, same thing. But we're going to be talking about the UNF Ospreys, a fun team to root for, very fun name. And you got two guards that are going to contribute right away, Amitri Ross and Jalen Smith, both guys that got really a lot of these guys got looks in the starting lineups last year. It was a mixture of who was starting each week. But I'm going with Ross as a starting point guard. I think Smith is going to be off the bench and then work his way into that starting role maybe next year after Ross moves on. Oscar Berry is coming back. He seems to be their captain this year. They've been promoting him a lot in social media, and he's in the center holding the ball on their team photo. So I imagine Oscar Berry is going to be in the starting lineup despite only getting 3.6 points per game last year. Josiah Mills was another guy that got in and out of the starting lineup. I think he's going to find a role this year in the spot. Nate Littletross, he's more of a wing player, probably going to be forced to play a bit more of the 4 this year permanently would be my guess. And then the freshman, Josh Harris, who won the Mid-Major Madness freshman of the year. That was his prediction for, or the social sites prediction for freshman of the year this year. Mainly because they don't have a single guy on this roster whose primary position is center. They don't have a single guy so he might be forced right into that spot. I really like the addition of Nestor Diachuk from Southern Utah, the WAC. I think he was really good at JUCO as well, and I think he didn't play much for the WAC last year, but one of those guys we've been consistently talking about that comes from a higher prestige conference and then ends up putting up a lot of points in a bigger role. I think he might end up taking that starting center spot if Josh Harris isn't able to lock it down. And they have Arden Bagaj, who's also a freshman as well, who's more of a power forward, but could also play the center spot as well. But this team overall, I think it's going to be really hard for this team to score points. I think they might be decent defensively. They seem like they have a lot of guys that can play good, solid defense, but scoring's definitely the concern for me. I think this team's really well coached. I think it's going to be a growing pains year, figuring out, who their starting 5 is, who's going to come back. I mean, you only got Nate Littletross is in his final year, and he's done after this. Liam Murphy, I know you mentioned in your write-up. Why don't you talk a little about Liam Murphy? He's one of those guys that also is done after the season. But other than that, they don't have anyone. So it's going to be a growing pains year, building towards the future.
Right. Yeah. Well, so Liam Murphy transferred in from Columbia. He actually didn't play last year; was injured. But when he did play, he actually was pretty darn good. 10 points a game, 4 rebounds per game 2 years ago. So definitely at Columbia. An X factor. I'm going to call him an X factor on this team. You mentioned where are they going to get points from? I think there's a spot. Or a player that's going to contribute heavily in that sense. I really think Josh Harris can do that as well. Even if he's not he may not play a traditional center role when he's on the court, or as a 5. And they may mix and match a little bit. But I think he's got a really good athleticism, a really good length and skills as well to kind of maybe add into that offensive punch there. I'm higher on Nate Littletross. I think he's kind of that glue guy, but has got some good upside, offensive upside as well. So it's kind of like Will Susie a little bit from UNA, a similar type of player in that sense, where it kind of can do everything. Yeah. That's what I like about him. Who else? I think he kind of covered everybody there. Matt Driscoll, what's not to love about Matt Driscoll? That fire, that energy that he brings to the table. Career record of 233 and 247, so slightly under 500 record over his career across all levels. 7th year here with in the program, but I love his energy. You see him yell swoop all the time. He just runs around and he's just a little fireball. So and I think he promotes a lot of family, really team unity type of stuff in his approach. In fact, he talked about a lot of new players on the team. How do you address that? That was what he banked on. He said, listen, I have a program. I want my program run it this way. Yes, people come and go, but the way I built my program, it's designed to allow to take care of that. So somebody new comes in or somebody leaves, and when somebody leaves, there's a continuity underneath it all that's consistent to help in transition. So
right.
If you buy into that concept and that translates onto the court, you should see good things from this team. I think, despite all the changes and maybe some of the holes that are there.
So where do you got them then?
So I actually have got him a 6. I think some of that continuity is going to come together and show off. I like Liam Murphy as a big part of that aspect. It's some kind of an unknown that comes out of nowhere. Obviously, hope he's not health issues there are past that. But and Josh Harris too. I think those two are two of the surprises for this club that are going to propel them up a little bit in the standings, maybe over than what some others are. How about yourself? Maybe including one is yourself.
Yes. No, I have 8. I have him 8th. I think lower half, mid class. Good talent on the team overall. Not as talented as other teams. Not as good defensively as other teams. I think it's, as I mentioned, I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle to score until they kind of figure out who their options. Their number 1, their number 2. Starting Oscar Berry is very concerning to me. Him being I'm sure he's a great locker. There's a reason he's a captain. Probably a great locker room guy, great leader. But yeah, that one's concerning to me. So that's my big issue. Is just scoring overall from this team is going to be hard.
Right. He was actually down from 2 years ago to last year.
That's true as well.
Statistically as well, as far as shooting percentage, like significantly down across the board. So hopefully, if obviously we'll have to find out if he's able to have corrected those shooting woes as well.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good year to build on for years to come, but
right.
not the year for UNF.
Right. Yep, exactly. Well, we'll see how it plays out. Again, check him out there. At the very least, just watch the bench. Watch Driscoll running around. He's a nut, but he's really fun to watch.
Absolutely.
So
that's going to conclude episode 9 of 12. We're going to move on to part 10 of 12 here, and be sure to check that out and go check out all the other videos that we posted as well if you want a good breakdown on what you're going to see out of ASUN basketball this year. Until then, take care.